right, so let's start with our trig slider. Now we're going to add a new feature to it. So I'm going to do something where I can change both the amplitude and the period. So let's see, I'm going to move this over here. Stirps, just so it looks a little better. The period, and then I'm going to drag in another dial, wherever the dial went, knob, to go amplitude. And maybe my amplitude can run, so I'm going to call this amplitude, and let's say it runs from 0.5 to 4. Oh, never mind. It's going to run from, let's go ahead and run the amplitude from like basically 0 to 4. Okay, so basically no amplitude to lots of amplitude. And I'm going to make this yellow so I can see it. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful knob. It's fantastic. Okay, so now I'm going to basically do the same thing. So if I look at the code that I wrote over here for the period knob value changing, I'm basically going to do the same thing, except I'm going to change the, what do you call it? The amplitude. Okay. Now there is the problem in that if I do my, what do you call this? This changing value. If I do this thing here as the period, it's not going to work whenever I call it from another function. We'll find that out here in a second, but I just want you to be aware that this isn't going to work the way we want it to. But let's say on the value changing, we want to basically do this, except we want to change the amplitude. So instead of dividing by that, we multiply by the amplitude. Okay, so you can probably already see what's going to happen. Is by doing this, I am losing, like changing value here is different than changing value here. So probably what I want to do is I want to make a property that is going to work across the entire app. Okay, so let's go ahead and as we do these things, let's store the period and the amplitude over as like a formal property. So I'm going to call this amplitude, and I'll initialize the amplitude as 1. Except I'm going to spell amplitude correctly. Apparently not. Amplitude correctly. And then the period is going to start at 2 pi. Okay, so every time I get a changing value, what I could say is I want app.period to equal that changing value. Okay? So now, every time the period changes, that's going to permanently change it to where I can access that anywhere in the app. So if I do that, the app.period will be there. If I do this, the app.period would be there. And I can do the same thing for amplitude. So whenever this changes, app.amplitude will equal that changing value. And then instead of multiplying it by changing value, I'm going to multiply by app.amplitude. Okay, now you have to put the app dot because that's the way you tell it, hey, there's a property in the app called amplitude. I want you to multiply it by this thing. Okay, and in theory, let's also make our default value be 1. And let's see what happens. Because in theory, this will work, mostly. Okay. So here's my sine function, and I can change that like I could before. And now if I do this, whoa, whoa, meow, 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 meow. Oh, I feel like I should be on like some kind of 80s TV show where I'm like, it's a Unix system. I know this. And then I like solve the problem. Okay, so cool. So basically, I just need to go in there and change the limits on this to go from, let's instead of going from 0 to 4, let's go from 0 to 2. That's just as interesting, I guess. And then on my axes, instead of going from -1 to 1, can I just do this? Can I go -2 to 2? No. Wait, -2 to 2. No. Okay, let me just copy these. Perp. Why don't you like me? Maybe it does, and maybe I just don't know it. Probably not. Let's see, so I'm at 1. No, that definitely is not going up to 2. Okay, so the ticks is not, I mean, it might be working, but it's not showing that it's working. Is there a place that I set the axes? Maybe. Let's set this just kind of manually, and then it'll just be in a good spot forever. So let me go remember how to do that. Okay, I'm not 100% sure I can get this where I want it to go, so let's try again. Let's say click away, click back on it. I said that I wanted to go from -2 to 2. Y tick mode auto, Y label mode auto. I don't know what's going on here. Let's just try it again. -2 to 2. That definitely didn't act like it did anything. And then I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to say Y tick label auto. No, because then it's going back from manual Y tick auto. Whoa, all kinds of things is happening. Now it's appearing to do all kinds of strange things. I feel like in the past I just clicked this and it eventually worked, so I wish I had a better solution. Let me see if I can keep trying. Hold on, I think there's something else, because that's just the label. What is the limit? What is the Y lim? Oh, there we go. Okay, I want the Y lim to go from -2 to 2. There we go. Okay, so it was not where I thought it was going to be. It was, I had to specifically find the Y limit. So these were just the labels, not the limits. Okay, there we go. So now maybe when I run this, I'll get my... Okay, that was fun. Okay, I feel like we can do one more thing. And this is kind of a dorky thing, but I want to set this up to where as I change this, you can kind of see what that action looks like. Okay, so this is kind of a go off onto another craziness kind of a thing. So I'm going to move these guys over and maybe make this background a little bit bigger. Okay, so I want to put in, and it's not going to be clear at all what I'm talking about until I do it, but I want to put in an extra axis. Okay, so the first one was called UI axis, and this is by default called UI axis 2. I'm going to call this red dot axes. Okay, and I'm going to take off the labels, and I'm going to take off these labels. Okay, so I might call this as a title. I might call it something like watch the dot. Okay, so here's the thing. What I want is I want to see as this goes, say, let me run it. As my thing goes like this, I want it to show like a dot going woo, 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 woo. But then if I'm doing this, I want to see a dot go woo, 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 woo. Okay? So I want to show you what we could do in order to make that happen. Okay? So I'm going to create a button. Now there's ways that you can do this in real time as you're designing this, but that gets actually more complicated than I want to get. So I'm just going to make a button here that says show my, or show, or go red dot. That's what I was saying. Go red dot. Okay. Go red dot. Yay. It's beautiful. Red dot. Okay. So go red dot. Now, whenever I press this button, essentially what I want to do is I want to plot just the what's-he do's it axis, just the Y. I just want to plot the Y. So let's show you how to do that. So let's say that we'll just start with x equals, what do we have? Linspace let's just take this from last time. X equals linspace, and we're not going to set, well, we can start, let's just do this. Okay, I'm trying something different, and it might work really badly, but it might accidentally work. And I'm going to do this. Okay, now, for the total time, or for all of the elements I have in here, so for index going from 1 to length of x, so it should go from 1 to 10,000. That seems like a lot of points, but whatever. I want to plot on the red dot axis, so I come over here and I call it go red dot button. Oh no, that's the button. App.red dot axis. App.red dot axes. So on that axis, I want to plot x and y. Oh, x and y at the index. So x at the index and y at the index. Okay, so let's just see what this does. Now, I'm going to make it a red dot. That's something else that, you know, we can look into later, so if that's kind of confusing to you, don't worry about it. And in fact, and if you like, we can say we want the color to be red, and we want the marker size to be 12. So I'm going to make a big red dot. Okay, this is not going to work maybe, but that's okay. We're just starting. Okay, so I have a normal thing, go red dot. That sounds like an error, or maybe it happened really fast. Okay, maybe that didn't do anything at all. What if instead I put in a message box that says hi? And then I'll know that the thing is actually doing something. Okay, go red dot. Okay. It's supposed to say hi. I don't know why it's not saying hi. It's obviously trying very hard. And then nothing appears to happen. So whatever I've done, I've made MATLAB very angry. Okay, I'm wondering if it's because there's so many points here. So let's knock it down to, I don't really have a strong opinion about this. Let's just say 100. Now, or let's just make it 10. And then I can put my little message box in here and see if it does anything. Doop. Go red dot. There's a dot. Oh look, so it is doing something. I just couldn't see it because it was going so fast. Okay, so it's going up and down like I wanted it to. So that's good, yay! I've got a lot of message boxes. Okay, so what the message box was basically doing was giving me a pause. So instead of doing message box, what if I just do a pause for like, I don't know, at 0.25 seconds. All right, now we'll see what happens. Go red dot. Look, the red dot is doing stuff. Okay. Now, the thing is, I just wanted the red dot to go up and down. So instead of plotting the x-axis that goes left to right, let's just set that to 0. Okay, because I just want it to be like bouncy. I just want to show the bounciness of it. And if I can get this working, then I think I can add more points again. So bounce, bounce, bounce. Oh, you know what we can do? We can also do marker base color. So just the outside is red right now. We can make the inside red too. And I'm going to now add 100 points. Okay, so I've got 100 points. I'm going to run this, and I'm going to say, go red dot. Neuron, 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 neuron. And I can keep clicking the go red dot button and messing it up. So let's do something also where let's disable that button. So if we look over here, we can see that under the different properties for go red dot, there is somewhere for the dot, interactivity, visible, and enable. So if I turn it off, it's no longer enabled. So I can say, I want to take the app dot red dot button, go red dot button, and I want to change the enable value to off. Okay, and it really is just as straightforward as that. And then whenever it's over, I want to turn it back on again. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, button. Here we go, button. Meow, 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 meow. Kind of slow. I'm not even sure what it's doing, but it sure seems like it's doing something. X, Y. Wow, it's doing this for a long time. Okay, I'm generally happy. I might make this like the same height so that I can really see it going, and I'm obviously now going to try it on some different values, and I think I'm really kind of impatient, so I'm going to change the pause to like 0.1 and maybe use more points. Well, that would be a lot more points. Let's just see what happens. Okay, go red dot. Oh, now it's going slow because I gave it so many points. Seems like it's bouncing. And there it's going up. Very slowly. Okay, I can't stand this. I'm just going to get out of it. Okay, we'll go back to 100 points and maybe 0.2. There's got to be a sweet spot here somewhere. Go red dot. Does seem kind of bouncy. I wonder if that's just a artifact of the fact that it's because it doesn't do it. It's not bouncy whenever I run it while I'm not recording. So I think what's happening is MATLAB is trying to do this while I'm recording, and it's making it kind of extra weird and bouncy. Whereas if I run it without, it's pretty smooth. Interesting. Oh, I'll bet you it's also changing the amplitude here as it works. So let's make sure that it's setting our amplitude from 2 to -2 on this once it stops running. Or I'll just stop it. All right, so let's make sure on this guy that our, what did we call it, Y limb? Yeah, is going from -2 to 2. Okay. Now let's see if that makes it more obvious of what's going on in our system. See, now it's going all the way down to the bottom, all the way up to the top, all the way down to the bottom, all the way up to the top, and all the way down to the bottom, and halfway up to the top, or all the way, and then the chunk. Okay, because it should be doing, it's basically like if you took the red dot and you were doing this. Okay, so if you wanted to, you could also put that red dot on the other axes. I'm not going to do it now, but if you want to kind of watch it go on both axes, you could. So let's now try it with some different values. Let's make it super slow and really tall. It should start out high, and then as it goes down, and then it'll go all the way back up to the top. Oh, so see, fixing those axes really did make a difference. And then coming back down, and then it should come back up a little bit before it stops. And ploop. Yay, we did it. We're amazing.